Hello boys and girls, my name is Danny Mac and this is the long overdue review of the UGEE 2150. Okay, so like many of you know, I've had this tablet for about 2 years now, so unlike most of the reviews out there, I wasn't sent this product. I bought it myself, and I don't think they've updated the hardware, so I feel I can give a pretty accurate review of what you can expect. So the first thing I'll mention is the screen itself, which is a 21.5 inch IPS 1080p screen. And while 1080p might be slowly phasing out, I think you'll get a good number of years before it starts to feel old. Now my main concern before buying this tablet was that it has a glass screen without a matte finish which you would get from a Wacom. Honestly, I needn't have worried because I got used to this after about a day of use. I really didn't even notice it. Now, the screen protector is supposed to provide a slightly rougher surface to counteract this, but I didn't find that to be the case. However, you can buy third-party screen protectors that are specifically designed for this purpose if you really can't get used to it. Now, about the screen protector, I recall it taking a while to put on, and it's peeling away from the edges now, and a little dust has gotten inside, but this hasn't affected the functionality at all, but it doesn't look amazing. I'll probably remove it soon. Another thing I wasn't keen on was the lack of express keys built into the screen, which I like to use, but once I bought an arm mount and could position the keyboard underneath the tablet, this became less of an issue. If you really want your express keys though, again there's a third party option by XP Pen which looks like a less sexy version of the Wacom Express remote, but it's also a third of the price. Or of course you could just opt for the sexy Wacom version. I understand the drivers are separate from the tablet drivers, so there shouldn't be any conflict, but do check up on that before buying. There are 5 ports that run at the back of the screen for HDMI, DVI or VGA, as well as the power and USB. The screen does come with a stand, which as you've seen I did replace with an arm, and the main reason I did this is because while the keyboard being off to one side isn't really a big issue when you're working, it becomes kind of a pain when you want to do other stuff like typing an email. You could potentially put the keyboard in front of the stand, but this isn't the most comfortable position to work in. Gas arms aren't too expensive though, and I would definitely consider buying one if you buy this tablet. You get 2 pens with the tablet, and unlike Wacom pens, they do need to be charged. However, again this has proven not to be an issue, since even after 2 years the pens seem to last a very long time, and I tend to use them for extended periods every single day. And of course you can just charge one pen while you're using the other one anyway. You get 2048 levels of pressure sensitivity, which I found to be more than enough, but you don't get the tilt action which you find with the Wacom pens. You get 10 spare nibs for the pen, but again after 2 years I've never had the need to change mine. Why haven't I changed mine? Maybe I should. Before I bought the tablet, I recall some reviewers saying that the pen squeaked a little, and while this is true, from what I remember it didn't really bother me and it stopped squeaking after a day or two anyway. I also recall people mention the Parallax Effect, where there's a noticeable gap between the nib of the pen and the actual screen. Honestly, this is not something I've ever really noticed without purposely looking for it, and coming from an Intuos, there's obviously significantly less disconnect from nib to screen anyway. One thing that I didn't really like was that the leads that came with the pack were too short, especially if you stand up to work and your machine is on the floor. So I ended up buying a USB extension and a longer HDMI cable. So bear in mind I have had to buy a few third-party products to get the most out of the tablet, such as the leads and the gas arm, and you might also consider buying the express remote and a screen protector. But with all the extras added up, the price still comes in fairly low. Now, another thing that still needs work is the software. Now, I think I got a bit lucky when I first installed it because it seemed to work out of the box for me, but a few people have contacted me personally to say they're having trouble with the installation, so I know that that can be an issue. You just need to make sure that any old Wacom drivers are completely removed, and I'll leave a link in the description for instructions on how to do that. Another problem seems to be that every time Windows decides to force an update, it seems to knock the drivers out of whack, though I have noticed this seems to be the case with Wacom as well. Now, I can't say much about the customer service other than they try to be helpful but can be slow to respond. Now, I guess this is a time zone thing, but one email a day to resolve an unusable tablet for someone who relies on it for work is not really acceptable. But to be fair to UGEE, they do seem to be quick to resolve driver updates. You just need to make sure you keep up with the latest drivers from their website. Now, that being said, I have found their drivers to be a bit clunky. So for instance, I currently have my drawing screen set to screen 2 so that it draws on screen 1. Go figure. You also can't set button profiles, which might be annoying. I've kinda just gotten used to leaving the buttons the same for every app now. So the question that remains is, should you buy an Intuos, a UGEE, or save up for a Cintiq? Well, I moved from an Intuos to the UGEE and I'm very happy I did so. Despite the inferior driver and pen functionality, being able to draw directly on the screen is such a big game changer for me that I would have to go with the UGEE over any non-screen tablet. If you get along with drawing on a traditional graphics tablet though, then I'd suggest sticking with that. If the question is what would I choose between a UGEE and a Cintiq, I'd have to go with a Cintiq. But if like me you're in a position where you can't justify the price tag just yet, then the UGEE makes for a great in-between, and overall I'm very happy I bought it. So there we have it. I'll drop a link to all the products mentioned in this video in the description below, and if you're on the fence about buying one of these, I'd say do it. Just factor in the potential costs of third-party products you might want to buy along with it. If you enjoyed this review, let me know in the comments below. I've never really done anything like this before, so I'd appreciate your feedback, and let me know if you want to do more of these in future. Peace.